Okay, this is Dan again from Hidden Objects in NASA Images. This is from Curiosity, Mission Sol 0453ML. I will place the catalog number in the link in the at the end of the video. This, like I said, you have to imagine a lot of things on Mars. Maybe at one time it was a very populated planet with lots of things going on. And maybe simply they just left, or maybe they died out. But I can't understand NASA why they want to hide anything that remotely resembles some kind of civilization on Mars. For example, and it's right here, go ahead and draw a box around it. It's this thing. It has ears on it, has a mouth, but also has something like some kind of holes on it. It looks like it has two nostrils like a cow, or and there's several of these images. I blew it up so you can see these are not rocks, not if they have pointy ears on them. And of course, I've looked at other people's videos. NASA has indeed taken those photographs away. However, I have saved these in multiple areas. But this seems to be some kind of mass, I wouldn't call it a grave, but as you can see, there's little eyes here. There's all kinds of debris, whether they're statues, maybe they died out as a civilization, but it just seems like each and every one of these little things here are not rocks. Maybe I'm just imagining. That's why I let you, the viewer, decide for yourself. Now we're going to obviously zoom out of here. Now this looks like a rock, but that looks like a skull. This object, it's just weird. It doesn't look right. Mars is obviously filled with dead things, like there's a skull or something over here. Here's another object that has a hole and another hole around it. But this is just obvious right in front of you. It's got ears here, I have no clue what it is. It just mystifies why NASA would just take these photographs once they air on YouTube and just dismiss them. I mean, they've already lied to us about objects on the moon. I wanted to point these things out because I kept seeing them. They can't be all rocks. It's just odd. A lot of this stuff is just really, really odd. They know what they're seeing. And like I said, it mystifies me why they would hide such things. In an ordinary photograph, if you zoom out of it, you wouldn't think much. People don't, it's just a picture full of rocks. But if you look at this right here, even not zoomed, it has like ears on it, and it's got like a mouth down here, like a statue. Some kind of statue. And then, let's, like I said, it's just weird that they're just denying the fact that these things exist. Like I said, if you look at the picture itself, there's a lot of things here that doesn't add up. Let me zoom in again. Like this thing right here. That could be a rock. But what about this right here? This little thing right here. That doesn't seem... It seems odd because it's not... there are these right here. These are probably rocks. But this has like shape to it. If I zoom in... it's got bony structure right here, and even this object, it has like a face on it. Whatever it was or is could have been a statue, and this little item has holes all over it, a smiley face. So I can't imagine what these things are. But if you look deep, you'll see little eyes right here, mouth, another little eyes. This thing. something must have dramatically happened on Mars at one time. For to see all this debris, and of course NASA doesn't want to admit it, they'll just claim it and hide it, but you could just tell just by looking at the picture close enough, and the more you zoom in, the more it becomes grainy. So I didn't like the black and white versions they had. This and a couple others they did have. But you can, if you ever play those games, find hidden objects in pictures. This is it. Here's another thing. Could have been another statue. Maybe this culture loves statues. There seems to be a lot of that in here. Two eyes, kind of like a mouth. If I try to go negative, I'm not sure if you'll see all these things, but maybe it doesn't quite work out. But definitely, if you just look for yourself, like this thing right here, it just mystifies two eyes. It's definitely humanoid or humanoid looking. And I've been studying these pictures, and like I said, this is the only one that really stands out. It's got two ears. What rock has two ears on it? So they could just be rock statues that, whoever lived on Mars must have had some kind of, maybe it was a religion to build statues and faces. But it just, here's another thing right here, this little thing. Like I said, it's got two eyes, kind of a nose and a mouth, but you be the judge. I know what I see, but maybe my eyes are playing tricks with me, but it seems like it's an area of mass. I don't know. It just mystifies me that NASA would not come openly out in the open and say, yes, we found these things. I mean, it's pretty obvious in these pictures. To the normal viewer, it doesn't look like much but rocks. But if you look close enough, you'll see that these things are right in front of you, and it's hard not to see them. I wanted to point that out. I mean, yeah, this could be a rock, but I don't know. It's got a weird shape to it. It's a different color. Here's the color of the rocks. These are probably rocks. But this one, it stood in front of me and I didn't notice it. But, you be the judge. Some of these things have holes in them. It's just really weird what could have happened to these people or creatures that lived on Mars, because there's obviously debris everywhere you look. It's pretty obvious. It's just scary that NASA would just continue the same old stuff, denying everything. I mean, even if there was life, I think they would still deny the fact. They wouldn't tell anybody. They're probably afraid of people jumping out of windows and killing themselves. I don't think that would happen. I think a lot of people would just say, well, all I can say is I don't think it's going to have mass shock. If the aliens wanted to come back, they could come back and take us over with no sweat. Have you ever seen that movie, Dark Skies? It is possible that the aliens could just disable us in a fashion that we wouldn't remember. But like I said, these objects are right in plain view. NASA didn't obviously think much of it. And here's something that doesn't look like a rock right here. Let's zoom in on that. It looks like paper. Maybe it's not paper, but you can see that they're not rocks because they have holes in them. And the more you zoom in on these things, it's hard to determine what they really are. It could be just skulls. It's really difficult because they like to have their color, which is good. If you turn this into a black and white picture, let's try that. Let's turn it into a grayscale. It's hard to see what's really there, except for this. This is obviously prominent. But as you go deep into the picture, it's kind of hard, so That's why I left it in color, because it brings out much more of the contrast of these items that are not obviously rocks. NASA knows a lot about what's going on Mars, what could have happened, and maybe we're destroying ourselves with on the planet Earth with all the emissions coming from cars. You know, maybe this is our future. I kind of hope it's not. But it's kind of scary that NASA still continues the same old stuff. They don't want to tell the truth. It's the old boys network. You know, the higher you are on the food chain, the more secrets you can have. But pictures like this tell 1,000 words. You know, you could come with a lot of conclusions on your own. I'm just telling you what I see. And certainly this thing right here, it's pretty obvious. It's got ears and it's shaped like a cow, maybe a Trojan horse at one time. Maybe that's what it was. And pieces are scattered everywhere. But because Mars is orange and the ground is kind of light tint of the same color, remember, Mars may not have a strong atmosphere. It may not have an atmosphere at all. So therefore you would get exposure to X-rays, ultraviolet rays, and damaging things that on Earth we are protected with our ozone. So on Mars it's a little bit different. These things could, you know, cook you. I'd like to go to Mars myself and just pick up one of these things and see what is it. You know, you can't just go, you know, a picture you only see one way. You can't turn the object. You can't say, okay, that's what it looks like. You know, these things obviously are not. In fact, they're the same color, light green tint to them. So you know these are rocks. Well, maybe that's not a rock, but you get the idea. These probably are rocks down here. Or part of the whole structure. Maybe these are just pieces of this, like, Trojan horse head. This is definitely a head. And it's got like kind of an eye, but it definitely got 2 nostrils and 2 ears, so it's either some kind of like I said, it's difficult to say. I don't have very good all I'm using is MIR fan view, and so much more equipment is probably needed to kind of straighten out the picture, you know, sharpen it a little bit. Let's see if we can sharpen it. Sharpen. If you sharpen it too much, you kind of lose the, yeah, see, it gets grainy. So we don't want to really sharpen it too much because then it becomes grainy. You can't tell what these objects are. So this is my take on Sol 0453 ML, and hopefully you can go to that website, and NASA hasn't taken that picture just yet. I wanted to share this because obviously there's a lot more in this picture than meets the eye. There's all kinds of debris scattered. It's just, unfortunately, I don't have the right equipment to bring out these things. Maybe somebody else can do it. But definitely these parts right here look like this part. And that's part of a, more of a statue. It looked like a Trojan horse with 2 ears and a kind of a head, and these are probably the pieces that go to it. Maybe it was just a statue at one point. But definitely this and all these little pieces here match the same color as this. And I want to thank everyone for watching my videos. I'll be doing some more soon. This is Dan from Hidden Objects and NASA Images from the Curiosity rover mission.